So first and foremost, quick update on Cambium Networks. That's our website, Twitter handle, Facebook page, and last but not least, our community forum. A couple of quick introduction about myself as well as the second presenter today later on. My name is Sakid Ahmed. I am the Senior Director of Engineering at Cambium Networks. I've been with the company almost 17 years. Prior to Cambium, we were part of a Motorola solution, so I'll go through a little bit of the history of the company in the first segment. Along with me today, we have Dmitry Moisev, who's going to be presenting a couple of the segments in the later part of the session. He's a senior systems engineer who works out of our Rolling Meadows office right outside of Chicago. So, with that, the agenda. Because this is our first time talking about Cambium Networks in this forum, in this type of audience, we felt that it was important to give you a brief overview of the company, where we came from. So I won't spend too much time on it, but that will be our first segment. We'll talk a little bit about applications, what space do we play in, where does our products fit in, and do a little Q&A at the end of that if you guys have particular questions about the company and whatnot. Following that, we will go into a specific product line that we're here to talk about. It's called ePMP. It's a point-to-multipoint outdoor product. We have some sample hardware that we brought along with us, which I will share and put it on video so you guys get a feel for this outdoor broadband product line that we're talking about today. We also have some radios that we are going to allow you to take home with you to experiment with and play with later on. So that will be sort of the solution overview. Then this is sort of the last three segments is what I would call the more deeper dive. So on the ePMP product line, we will get into the technical differentiation. What makes it unique? We're going to touch more in relation to outdoor deployments, self-interference, how do we solve it, how do we scale, how do we do quality of service. So we'll get a little deeper into the ePMP product line and go through those differentiation. In the last two part, CN Pilot, this is a Wi-Fi product line that we recently launched. So Dimitri's going to kick in there, and he's going to present an overview of our Wi-Fi product line, which is indoor as well as outdoor. And this is the standards-based Wi-Fi 802.11n AC solution. And the last piece, CN Maestro, this is what brings it all together. We're going to do a live demo of our network management solution. This is a pretty powerful network management solution that ties the story together for your indoor Wi-Fi devices, troubleshooting, management, in addition to your access network, which is the backhaul or potentially a point-to-multipoint system. So we have a system on the cloud that we will access and walk you through what it can do and some of the features around it. So, Cambium Networks, very briefly, how we came about. The Motorola Solutions, which is today Motorola Solution, at one point it was Motorola. It was in a lot of businesses. Along that was a broadband wireless business. The strong brand that a lot of people are probably familiar with is Canopy. Canopy's been around for a while. It's a point-to-multipoint fixed wireless solution. 2005 is about when we came up with the Canopy product line. It's deployed in many parts of the world. So Motorola had the Canopy organization, and eventually a point-to-point company was acquired, which was Orthogon Systems. So essentially the Canopy and Orthogon Systems, point-to-multipoint, point-to-point, came out of Motorola Solutions and became Cambium Networks. So we've been around for 3 years. It's a fast-moving, exciting place. We're very focused in high-energy environment, trying to solve the world of wireless. So few statistics and things. We are in the outdoor space so far, to date. So in point-to-point, point-to-multipoint deployment-wise, we are an industry leader. We have about 4 million nodes, and when we say nodes, it's access points and subscribers that are on people's houses worldwide. Approximately 120 countries, there's some type of presence in the point-to-multipoint space. So a little bit on the point-to-point and the point-to-multipoint. On the point-to-point side of the house, a lot goes into the engineering aspects of things. So there's some talk here about cognitive radio technology and dynamic spectrum optimization. These are Cambium developed features on the point-to-point platform that makes them unique and industry leading. We're not going to dive into it too much today. We're going to talk a little bit more about point-to-multipoint. On the right side, we talk about point-to-multipoint. So this gives a bit of an idea of what areas these products play in. So when we talk about access, broadband service everywhere, typically what we're seeing is that there is a movement in outdoor or essentially broadband access that, there's digital initiatives throughout the world, developing nations and whatnot, to do fiber. A lot of parts of the world we go to, we see a lot of copper, but it's old copper. You can't really upgrade the copper plant and get to the better DSLs and things like that. So we see a use case for that last mile access where you put up our base station / access point. I'm going to interchange some of these terminologies, but at the end of the day, it's an access point. So in the access network, getting that broadband service to remote areas, for that matter, congested environments where cable or fiber on light poles is just not viable, we play a big role. Backhaul, edge-to-edge connectivity. This is an interesting topic probably even for this audience, because one of the reasons we are talking here today is while we emphasize a lot on access network, and backhaul typically comes to mind when you talk about a point-to-multipoint, but backhaul is as simple as campus connectivity. Connecting two buildings is also a backhaul solution. So we are starting to expand more in terms of a simple bridge that connects buildings, a simple bridge that connects two school campuses, feeding whatever, to the traditional backhaul that was, hey, I've got a 3G base station, I need a backhaul. I've got a whole cluster of access points, I need a backhaul. And last but not least, on the transport side, we like to say we're protocol or traffic agnostics, basically. It's a layer 2 bridge, so send whatever you want. So we're seeing applications, quite interesting applications, 2G, 3G, 4G LTE backhaul. One thing to note here, real quick, is that the spectrum that we play in, it is primarily unlicensed, but we also have licensed spectrum. So microwave licenses, we do have backhaul products there. So what we find out in the transport section is that the more mission critical data that you have, you're gonna want to go to licensed spectrum for reliability and interference and whatnot. But there are use cases where a 2G base station that potentially doesn't have a whole lot of traffic, but it fills a void somewhere. You need a footprint. People will put up our unlicensed backhaul systems on there to feed that 2G base station. So I would summarize this as access, backhaul, transport. All three areas are where we get in. Just a few pictures. This is what it, on the right side is sort of a canopy link. Right up top here on the left side, that's a 660-degree access points that are covering a 360-degree range. This is our original canopy product line. So as you can see, it's about a 2-kilometer range line of sight. It's a small footprint on top of that pole for 6 base stations to connect together. On the right side, you see a big dish. That's a reflector dish to increase the gain of the integrated patch antenna. So the story of accessories, where you need it, you plug in a reflector dish. Where you don't, you just put the integrated device. And I'll go through a little bit more of the use cases in a minute. Where are we? Oops, sorry. We have 4 R&D entities. The primary ones are Rolling Meadows. We're about 10 miles outside of Chicago O'Hare Airport. Ashburton, England, which is in the south of England. And Kiev, Ukraine, and Bangalore, India is one of our latest centers. So heavy R&D presence. We do like to be closer to the customer, so the regional spread helps when customer issues come up and you want to fly out an engineer somewhere and address an issue. It works out. So last bit of summary here is that we talk point-to-point, point-to-multipoint. We're playing both in licensed, unlicensed, and all this comes together in planning and management tools. I do want to stress that planning and management is an integral part of our DNA, and as you will see on the last segment. But in RF deployments and outdoor broadband deployments, the planning part is almost as important as after you deploy and manage it. So we spend quite a bit of time and effort in developing tools that allow you to predict a link behavior, performance. A lot of free tools. One of the more popular tools we have is called Link Planner, downloadable on our website. It lets you put in the tower location, subscriber location, integrates with Google Map. You can play with heights and give you an idea of what you will get before you actually go out there and invest the money. I'm going to skip through this real quickly, but along with that access backhaul, the markets, state, local, enterprise, industrial, service provider, because it's a wireless connectivity solution, it can fit just about anywhere. Where things start differing a little bit, we may have a product line that's cost effective. Maybe it's IP55, maybe it's not as ruggedized, but it serves a lot of markets. But then we might have a product that's IP67, metal enclosures and things like that, and it will go into a federal defense type environment or a mining or utilities environment. So we do have a range of products that bridge the different market needs. Okay, a little bit pictorial presentation, context of how these things end up getting deployed and installed. May look like a bit of a busy slide, but as you can see, management system sitting somewhere in the cloud, towers. This tower could be a water tower, top of a building, or a real radio tower, and some other crazy things I've seen out there on how people mount the access points. And then at the end of the day, you have portfolios where you can do backhaul with our PTP 650, PMP 450 is a higher end product line, point to multipoint, but single family, homes, offices, schools, university, providing an alternate connection to a wire is what we're doing across Cambium with this product portfolio. Right. You see another term here, C3 VoIP 150. So for a while, we were very focused on, let's get connection right to that house. Let's get that copper replaced. Let's get that fiber replaced. But then we started saying, why wouldn't we reach inside the house? Why not inside the house? Why not provide that voice over IP gateway or a Wi-Fi router that now talks to is fed by our backhaul, and then eventually the operator, which can be a tier 2, tier 3 service provider or a big guy, big AT&T, whatnot, why couldn't they get a nice view of the entire network? Backhaul, tower, access, down inside the house. And we'll touch on that a little bit later when we talk about CN Maestro, but C3 VoIP is a voice over IP gateway that we offer that can actually feed power into the subscriber module that's outside of the house. So we're expanding, we're getting inside the house. We're trying to give an end-to-end solution. We talk carrier Wi-Fi here. The fundamental message here is that, and this may overlap with other vendors that also talk a lot about carrier Wi-Fi. Now, carrier Wi-Fi offload, very popular terms. But our mission here essentially is that we are providing an alternate backhaul connection to that Wi-Fi Starbucks presence. It doesn't have to be a DSL copper line that you pay to AT&T and whatnot. It can be a wireless connection that goes into a POP 5 miles somewhere else and pay a local wireless service provider. Another application from and this is actually a very compelling one, video surveillance. We're seeing some massive growth in this space. All of our products more or less cover this, and it all depends on the use case. It all depends on the budget. It all depends if it's a warehouse you're trying to protect or a military base, and that's how things vary. But video surveillance, North America as well as rest of the world, we're seeing strong pull, and typically the belief has been, I need to put up a camera on a traffic light pole. I've got to get power, I've got to get some type of backhaul to it. And we're trying to push the message of, hey, if you have a wireless backhaul solution, you simplify a considerable chunk of your challenge of that installation. So we're seeing more and more pickup where people are saying, okay, I can put up a 500 meter or a 1 kilometer link, throw a camera here, throw another camera. And the beauty of it is that in a point-to-multipoint, like a star topology, you can have an aggregation point, which is essentially your access point. So you can have multiple cameras. You can do relays on a wireless camera as well. 2 radios on a tower, and you'll see this driving down the highway oftentimes on interstates, that there's 2 radios pointing away from each other. So one's getting the feed, feeding into the other one, and then it's relaying to the next one. So in summary, the video surveillance market and how our wireless products fit in there has been a strong market. Infrastructure backup, we start to see a little bit of this. Again, I have encountered, and this was a little hard to fathom even, like data centers or enterprise offices. First and foremost, a wire is very key. It's the most reliable thing. But a lot of times we'll see in developing parts of the world that they'll do the wire, but then they'll bring in a redundant wireless link, just in case that fiber gets cut or something happens to the link. So we're not necessarily competing, but we're complementing the wire in some deployment cases. And that's an example of copper getting stolen or fiber being cut. Broadband extension. Satellite here is a good example, because even though the bandwidth available from a satellite is probably not what we want, but we are seeing scenarios where people will use a satellite feed coming in and expand it to other parts of the network. Everything good? All right. Okay. So that is let me check the time. So that is the Cambium Networks overview product portfolio at a high level. Any questions or comments? Yes.
Yes. So you have the ePMP and PMP 450, and I know sometimes inside a company you start calling things by their product name so much you forget.
All right.
So what's the main difference between those two? Is it technological or cost or production?
Both. The first two. So the question, I'll repeat for everybody else's sake. ePMP, PMP, we interchange and talk about it a lot. What is the fundamental difference between those product lines? It's both technological and cost. PMP is let's say, proprietary from the ground up. It's an FPGA-based solution. It sort of brought the Canopy heritage and took it to an OFDM MIMO radio. It's ruggedized. It's environmental reliability-wise, it's IP67, water ingress, and things like that. So cost-wise, naturally that goes up also. One of the fundamental differences from a performance perspective between a PMP and an ePMP system is on a PMP system you can put up 100 subscribers or 150 subscribers. Your overall system latency, because we're FPGA based, everything is timing-wise very tight in our scheduling, we're able to maintain some of the latency numbers pretty low and pretty aggressive. The ePMP platform, which we'll talk about in detail today, what we have done, and I'm going to get to the gist of, this is an important question, the ePMP platform, what we've done is, to bring the cost down, we leveraged Wi-Fi chipsets. No ifs and buts about it. Economies of scale, you can get an SoC for $5, right? But the challenge was, what could we do with an SoC? And it's limited, because all the things you can do with a proprietary FPGA, you can't really do on a chipset from somebody. So that's the challenge we overcame. But in the process, the sacrifice you get on ePMP is you get to 100 subscribers, your latency is going to be 40, 50, 60 milliseconds, while a 450 might still stick around 15, 17, 20 milliseconds. So if you want to grow really big and have a nice dense cluster, you go with the PMP 450. If you're doing less dense systems and money is a big problem for you, cost, you go with an ePMP solution.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. We're doing okay on time, I think. Thomas, we're good? On to the second segment.
I do have a quick one.
Please.
You can tell me if this is going to be talked about later. Were you moving into the indoor? I'm just wondering what pushed you into that. It's a pretty crowded market, so why go there?
Very good question. I'll just repeat again. Indoor, Wi-Fi, crowded market. Why be another vendor in the same crowded market? There's three good reasons for that. Number one is we believe we've learned quite a bit throughout the years in building low-cost platforms. So our view was that a Wi-Fi radio that people buy at home, whether it's a D-Link or a Netgear, right? We could potentially offer something like that at that cost point or low cost, yet have a lot of the features you get on that $500 access point. So get into the Wi-Fi market, but come in with a price differential. That's one point. The second thing that we felt very strongly about is that we have a full story. Because we're already owning or running the outdoor market, why not bring indoor in and tie it all together with a nice overall management system? Which what we see is our customers today, the operators and service providers, they will use our product to get to the house, and then they will purchase somebody else's radio. And this happens so often. Customer calls, I can't get internet. That operator has no idea that it's really the TP-Link or the D-Link that's busted, nothing to do with our link. They have to send a truck roll. So we wanted to take advantage of that situation. Why can't we give you the whole thing and let you avoid the truck roll, because now you can manage that device below. Does that answer mostly?
It does. And then why, or how big is the top end of that vision? Like on the inside deployments?
Elaborate a little bit. How big?
Scaling, right? So how many, what's your customer market for the inside? Is it SMB? Do you see it on, ever getting bigger where you're doing hundreds of access points on a given site?
I think it's going to be a little bit of learning phase. We're trying to understand that market as we get in. We just launched it. It's safe to say that it is crowded, and there are a lot of low-end players where $5 is going to make or break the deal, right? So we're going to be a little more strategic in thinking how we address that market. It's a combination of SMB and residential, probably. If nothing else, I will move on to segment 2 and reintroduce myself.
Quickly, I did want to ask a question. No. As far as roadmap for outdoor connectivity, you guys have done a great job starting very young in the industry with outdoor wireless. But where do you go from here? It seems, there's a lot of opportunities with small cell and with TV white space and new technologies that are coming up. You guys seem to be going in the opposite direction in the sense that you're going indoor while people are looking at different ways to do outdoor. Do you have any plans, or can you think of anything that you're allowed to talk about that could help the outdoor market, aside from ePMP, because for those of you who aren't familiar, basically the PMP 450 system was great, WiMAX was great, LTE was great, and then this little company called Ubiquity came in and bottomed out the market, and everyone kind of raced towards that, and ePMP was introduced.
An answer to that, yeah.
And so that happened, but what about the bigger picture? What about TV white space? What about using chipsets to do that?
Sure. Great question. So first and foremost, outdoor is still our bread and butter. Outdoor is still our focus, right? Indoor was a natural fit. That's why we're bringing indoor into mix.
Good.
But technological innovation, you talked a few different things, so I'm going to kind of touch a little bit on all of that. the game of spectrum, right? You know how precious that is. Here's 5 gigahertz getting super crowded. 900 megahertz was super popular back in the day. Every home phone and the garage door opener crowded that market. Now we're starting to see 900 waking up again because people moved to cell phones, right? So TV white space, very attractive propagation characteristics, but it's got some tough rules and regulations. So as a company, we're looking at spectrum, right? What is the next spectrum or band that would help our customers and make a difference in the outdoor market? So TV white space is absolutely a viable thing, but as any company would do, we would watch the regulations, how limiting is it, what products make sense. So we're absolutely looking at that. But beyond that, actually there's a second and a third piece, band, technology, and what can we do without depending on either of these two. So when you talk technology, you said WiMAX came and went, outdoor. It was a good standard. I mean, it was designed. What we're seeing is, all the goodness that came out of WiMAX, LTE is driving it even better, right? So in LTE side of the house, LTE unlicensed, LTE assisted, the 5 gig noise that's coming out of Qualcomm and whatnot, something we're watching very carefully because we know LTE as a protocol is very, very robust. But the question becomes, how much can we offer a subscriber at? The cost benefit, the differentiation. What is going to be Cambium's value add on a standards-based protocol? So those are the strategic thinking we have to do. But outside of those two, the third and the most important piece is Cambium and our engineering dollars and our brain cycles are being spent on maximizing the performance out of what's out there today. So if I'm in 5 gigahertz, we live and breathe interference. How can I give you more bandwidth over that spectrum? How can I deal with interference? So on that end is where we are thinking innovation within the company. Different technologies, different ways of mitigating interference. So you'll see more about that in the future, but there's quite a bit of focus in building better products for the outdoor space.
And in the 3650 band, are you guys looking at anything EPMP-wise to build that product in there and GPS sync on EPMP? I mean, what does that look like for the future of the EPMP product line?
Right. Good question. So 3650 today, we have the PMP 450, of course, is our leading product. And it's doing a great job replacing the WiMAX stuff we had in the past. Yeah. And there's more spectrum potentially getting opened up, right? At this point, 450, our PMP product line is our front-facing product. Having said that, if we feel that with additional spectrum opening up, there's a need for a lower-end solution that's not as scalable as PMP 450, we'll certainly look at that. But today, 450 is our main product in that band.